All right, welcome back, everybody. We are jumping right into our second game of UCD versus DU Demons. Two teams we haven't really seen much of. We've seen a couple of these players pop up here and there, but these are pretty much relatively brand new sides. Obviously, we've seen Slime God before last year, but these two teams are currently both, if I bring up their scorelines, I believe 3-2. UCD have had a little bit of an easier route getting to 3-2. And we decided to bring you this one because DU Demons, on the other hand, have had, I believe, if I double check their scores here, yeah, they've had to play every single game. They've only won one game a week, and they've already won this week against UG. So we're gonna have to see if they can break that curse and win a second game against a UCD side that have had a bit of luck on their side, have those two no-show victories. So we're gonna have to see whether UCD are actually on par with the DU Demons.
For sure. And looking at these agent comps here, I think that for the defense, this double controller setup, I'm pretty excited to see it. Nothing that we haven't seen before, nothing super spicy coming in there, but it is tried and tested. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the attacking side really manages to contend with it. They have gone for a little bit of a unorthodox pick in that double initiator with the fade coming into play here. I think that fade and raise combo is something that does get picked a decent amount. And with that chamber coming in as that sentinel, I think we are going to be seeing a little bit more aggression like we saw in that previous time. It is going to be bind once again that it came down to in that agent veto. And looking at both of these teams, like you mentioned, even though the score record is around the same number, we do have a team that, like you mentioned, has had a slightly easier route towards this particular juncture. So it's gonna be it's I think this game will really determine whether it was the luck that got them this far or whether they're just that capable and the luck was just like an accidental bonus that they were pretty happy about because more time to rest and stuff.
Yeah, and we're just taking a little bit longer to load in. But we are going back to bind, and we're going to see how these two teams actually fare up against each other and how they differ from the two teams that we've seen already today. We've seen a pretty close, or a bit of a comeback in our previous game, but it was quickly stopped by UL, who went on to win that game. And now as we go into the second game of buying, and comps, as you said, changing up. We're going to see, the fade coming out on the attack side and the Viper coming out on the defensive side, and we're seeing two chambers on. We're seeing chambers mirrored on each side. So how do you think the changes of the compositions are going to affect how these teams play?
Well, I think that fade race combo, we're going to be seeing a little bit more of those set plays coming in, like, throw a seize down, put down the paint shells, just try to catch somebody off guard with it. That said, though, for the attack, this double initiator, it's going to really have to set up Claro for success. Sorry, not Claro. It's going to have to set Gojo up for success here because with him being the sole duelist for this particular team, it's a lot of heavy lifting that's going to be falling on their shoulders. So I think despite that double initiator, it's going to come down to whether or not this Raze can find that early pick. Ju also with the buy of that shorty here does have the classic to switch through if things get a little bit dicey, but it's gonna be a quick TP to come through from the defense. There are a couple of players playing behind this Viper smoke here. It's gonna come down to the timing, and in fact, it's gonna be attackers all the way across the board to find these kills. However, both Evanese and Surge are able to find a couple of their own as well. It's just going to be the Sky left in a 1v2 now, though. Still looking very healthy. Has the upgraded Ghost as well. It's gonna be CT side plant, though, and in this 1v2, it's gonna be the Prowler to come out, smoking out his position. They know that he hasn't quite come out yet. They just have to swing together if it comes down to it. Yeah, I think that Deverny is just waiting for that flash recharge to come in. Might be easier to swing off the back of it. Doesn't find anything, though, and now both these players are going to be setting themselves apart. Gojo takes the confrontation, wins it out, and that will be the pistol to go to the attack. Ooh, okay. Spicy.
Yeah, nice round coming out from UCD to start this one off. I do believe the overlay, I'm just going to double check with our producer. I do see that I think it may be wrong on the stream. If you just want to double check that yourself, I don't know if you've already fixed it. But yeah, great play coming out from them. No, it's UCD on the right, not DCU. Sorry about that, but yeah, wrong team. Well, we will get it fixed. It's been a long day, but we're getting into the second round. I really liked how the Fade and Raze. I love how Fade and Raze played behind the box, just making sure that they doubled up on the angle. They knew where the last player was going to be coming from, just didn't play. Played it very safe, managed to secure that kill and the round for themselves. But now, going to be going towards this B site. You see a double stack towards long. Gonna have to try get this one here. Gojo going in very quickly, finds the two players that are sitting out in the garden, and now into a 3 versus 5 retake. A lot of utility being dumped to just slow them down so they get the spike down. Kinose starting to push towards the site, but all 5 players are sitting on the site for UCD.
Ooh.
Nice kill to start this one. Start the retake off for Kinose. Ju here with the headhunter as well. Needs to find one, and it's another kill with just a classic. But at the end of the day, that improved weaponry is going to win out the round.
Yeah, the anti-eco working out perfectly for the attackers here, but they do lose a couple of those weapons, so it remains to be seen if they are going to be able to, or if they are planning to buy up. In fact, it's just going to be Gojo investing in the Sheriff instead of getting that Vandal, playing out the bonus round as it should be played. In fact, it's going to be a Bucky coming in, alright. I mean, a Raze and a Shotgun name a better combo. That said, though, I think the full buy finally coming in for the defense, it's going to be pretty important for them to be able to close this one out. A couple, all of these rounds so far have been surprisingly close, even the anti-eco with it being a 3v2 at some point. Of course, that superior weaponry did do better in those fights. Now the attack looking to scale up pretty quickly towards this B side. You do see that information towards showers has already been garnered, so they know that B is most likely where that execute is coming in. Schniffer does have a Vandal to work with here, trying to find some chip damage, maybe a kill in case someone's playing in the corner, but hasn't found any information, especially with that haunt, so no real damage being done. You can see that the attack, they're very meticulous about charging up these ultimates, and now that they've made a lot of noise, they've given away, they're just gonna cut it off and maybe hope that the opposition thinks that they rotated over. The rotation is imminent. You can see the spike making its way over towards that A side. The TP gonna be taken as well by 3 players, so that's a lot of information here. Only 1 player positioned towards this A side, but the backup is quickly arriving, and Claro has a lot of the lifting to do. Starts things off here, finds the first kill, but immediate refrag to come through from Schniffer. Kinose towards the backside, still dealing some damage. Takes down Slime God here. Plant, though, it's going to be allowed to come down. And in the corner is Ju who finds the kill. Aggressing forward, but Schniffer still takes him down. That's 2 for Schniffer now in this round, and it's a 2v3. Make that a 1v3.
Surge going to get that one. Now all on to Gojo. Surge there, going to be able to get that one with the Phantom. Going to be an easy retake. And we're not going to see the attackers run away with it like we did in the previous matchup. Going to go 2-1. More standard scoreline starting off this game, and now as the defenders, you have that, or they're gonna have mostly a full buy coming out. Claro and Ju gonna have somewhat limited access unless they go for that half armor. We commonly see Fnatic do this, or have coined this, where you take that half armor, buy up a rifle anyway, if they're gonna have those, you know, Vandals, because you over the course of the game, I believe it's like you save enough money to claim like 1 extra rifle or something, like if you go half armor instead of full armor. So
you can buy up for,
yeah, it's a lot more common now. We see a lot of teams doing it, so not too surprising to see it. And
while oh, okay. Well, I am an EMEA fan. I do believe that was invented by NRG. So NA actually did. We were the ones to start off with that tactic. That said, though, it's just a 1-for-1 trade. Gojo gonna be satcheling instead towards Shower. Showstopper, they're gonna be invested, but the Odin Slime God just shreds the players apart. Showstopper finding absolutely nothing. Gojo does get taken down on site by Kinose, so that's at least 1 kill. But Kinose is solo, and they know that Slime God just gonna be rotating over towards that B side, which is completely empty.
Yeah, fast rotate coming out for them in the 3v2 now as well. The Viper down to below half HP, so this is where you start having to think about saving. They don't really have much money going into the next round. They're going to chance it from the look of things, but if Kinose dies here, the Brim should probably just turn tail, try to keep something going into the next round, and this is where we have to see what the decision is. It looks like from the backpedaling coming out of Surge, it is just going to be a save. Smart decision, has the full armor, still has a good bit of utility on him, and the rifle, so save that into the next round. At least you'll have something going forward.
Yeah, I mean, if Kinose had gotten that kill, wasn't really watching the right angle, unfortunately, that could have been a round that would have been winnable off the back of that orbital strike. But like you mentioned, with things being as they are, it's going to be important to hold onto that rifle, maybe bring it into that next round, and the rest of the team can force around it like that. Half armor could make it possible.
Might just get sandwiched here. He has to play very careful. Okay, there's only a couple seconds and they're just playing it safe. Slime God didn't actually opt to push out of the TP. Otherwise, I would have been a bit scared for Surge. I don't want to lose that rifle. But now, as we go into this next round, we are actually going to see a bit of a force coming out, and that's where that extra money comes in from only getting half armor. We're going to see Daverine pick up we're going to see him pick up another Vandal. Kinose is going to get a Phantom for himself, And it is something we do commonly see some of these teams do, is go for these force buys, and I would say they only really went for this because of that saved rifle on Surge, and we commonly see teams not actually go for those saves. They do just kind of chance the rounds, try to find picks and economy damage, but it is nice to see some players change the pace and just go for those saves so they can buy up kind of half the team into the next round as they go for this aggressive play towards B now. Clearing out Hookah first, and aggression coming up towards Garden. The dog isn't going to be able to spot anything out. Nades now flying through the TP as well. Oh, and I like the positioning. The Fade pushing into the TP, just waiting to see if anything wants to come through. Not going to be able to find anything. Surge taking out a 30 HP. Orbital Strike already burned on the attacking side. And no space gain for it. Slime God gonna find the first one onto Dave Reen. That Odin so powerful when able to position up like that.
Needs help.
Arrow has him in body out. Flash gonna get caught on the reload, and that's the spike.
Down B.
It's terrible timing coming out for the attackers, and Gojo now gonna be able to recover the space and get that spike back as they start to move towards this A bomb site.
Still a 3v3 situation. The spike itself, while they did cut the noise here, it does seem like they want to reaggress towards Hookah and B. You do see that one of the players has rotated over, but Hookah is going to be where the rest of them are. They're just trying to stick together, especially with how low some of them are. Some of them are here. The showstopper is available for Gojo to try and make that space with, but 15 seconds left. If this kill comes through, it's going to be huge. Ju already able to find the damage. That's the first one taken in. Now the defense, they put down their own orbital strike, really just cutting down on the time here. They push in off the back of it, and despite two of their players being so low and that economic disadvantage, they're able to win it off the back of that clock. Really nicely played, especially Claro's played through that TP to follow up off the back of that nade, tuck himself into that corner and find that damage with the Sheriff. Really cleanly done, and that's the economy decimated for the attack. They really don't have much to work with. I see a Marshall. You can see one of the players debating between a Bulldog or a Marshall or a Stinger. Finally deciding to go with the Marshall here. And with this broken buy, they still do have the Showstopper and the Tour de Force. We saw how impactful the Chamber could be on these 50 rounds of Force. So it's going to be local Schniffer to come out on top.
You as well. Position up. Has that op on board now. Daverine actually has the Odin, I believe, picked up from that last round. And Claro gets 2 huge kills in showers. And only gets traded back half his HP for it. That's a absolutely huge pickup for this defensive side. The lack of armor really showing with that spray down. And it's like you said, they don't really have much into this round. They're just trying to get whatever they can. They have committed the Tour de Force, though, on this eco, which we commonly see. So we're going to see whether they can actually get some more with that. Just try to get some economy damage over onto the side of DU, because they're still looking pretty good with their money.
Player also being able to walk over to that B side, get a little bit of healing done. So that's going to put him back at 100 HP, much healthier than what we actually saw him at. Smoke will come down. And towards that A side, a second kill comes through as well. Ju positioned with the operator to find a player, and now they know the spike is there, so it's just gonna be them trying to fight it out. Claro with the wall bang to find a kill, looking for a little bit more. Finally, the Tour de Force able to find something here. Still 3 bullets left, so this could still be something that Schniffer could make work out. Does know that there is an operator position towards the shower, but tries to jump around, retrieve the spike. Ju more than ready for it. Will take him down to tie things up here 3-3.
Yeah, and not losing much for that as well is great for the side of EU Demons here. Gonna only lose the gun on Claro, which should just be rebought up if they opt to go for it. They have plenty of money to be able to buy him, and finding out where local was into that was probably the right decision. Only losing 1 rifle, although they didn't actually have anything. So it would have been kind of leaving him alive was just as good as killing him, sort of thing. Wouldn't have carried anything to the next round. It was actually probably better for Schniffer to go for something and get some kills, because living there was not going to be good for him. Showstopper coming out early here, but it goes wide. Claro going to counter, but it's not going to get shot. And a Rosa followed up by an unshot Razel. We're back to the Irish races where we normally see. Time to bleed with a great positioning over towards the back side of A, and it's just slowly getting put out. Nightmare gonna come down. It's just a lot of utility being traded. Gojo finds one with the nade. Local Schniffer gets one, and it's a trade back from Surge. But at the end of the day, the attackers actually win out that round.
Very cleanly done as well. Like you mentioned, neither showstopper doing much, but it did create the needed space for the attack to push forward. And after that, Gojo was great with the utility. I think he even got a paint shells kill off the back of that Nightfall with that noise being cut. The player towards heaven just wasn't quick enough to react and dodge it. Now we're finally going to be seeing a round on a little bit more of an even footing here. Both the teams having a bye, and Ju will be playing with the Tour de Force as well, looking at him purchasing up that heavy armor. The rest of the team still, like you mentioned, having a decent chunk of money to work with, even if this round doesn't go their way, but it's starting to go down. An aggressive position being held by Ju as well. He will be forced to fall back thanks to the Prowler, and with this one-way and the Pain Chill combo being put down, it's going to be them having to reposition once again. Gojo being able to aggress quite far towards his U-Haul. The Seekers coming in as well, forced to use the Tour de Force to break in. The timing is impeccable. Gojo just pushes forward and finds that kill. Slime God with the second to boot. They hear the TP. They know that there's a couple of players coming in through there, and Slime God, he's going to be that person to try and hold on. Finds the first, looking for the second. It doesn't get it, but Gojo there for the trade, and now just a one player remaining. Claro coming in for the flank. Bleed wraps around, takes him down, and a very clean attacking round to be won.
Yeah, they're playing very well to position to be able to cover for these kills. The Seekers getting so much value out, getting Gojo that peek over onto the Tour de Force on Ju, and then, of course, rotating over toward Showers to cover for Slime God. It's a great play coming out from them, and, you know, 5 rounds so far, definitely deserved. Still going to be forces coming out from these teams. The money is just in this weird spot for both these teams where when they're down to basically minimal money, they just win a round and then their money is fine. So we're seeing so many half buys coming out from these teams where there's just like a one gun missing. Ju not going to be able to find something early, but Claro with a huge double kill coming out from that Bulldog, and all of a sudden this round looking so winnable for TCD. And again, this is the side that didn't have all that equipment in their favor. They're still alive with 5 members remaining, and they were going to be able to hopefully recover these guns for members like Ju, unless UCD actually, you know, camp these guns. And they can just wait down the timer, but trying to get in with these 3 remaining members is going to be a struggle.
Yeah, the aggressive positioning from Claro with the Bulldog being able to find not just 1 but 2. It just speaks to that awkward spacing between the different attackers here, just not able to trade each other out effectively. And like you mentioned, there's a possibility for these guns to get retrieved. You can see Kinose just watching in case someone does decide to peek around, maybe hold onto those guns, but instead they're just going to try to rotate onto the B site. There is 1 player positioned around here. The flash doesn't quite detect their position though, and the smoke comes down as well to make things a little bit more difficult. Now Seekers to come out from the defensive side to get Surge a little bit of information. Will detect a couple of players, and that will be the TP taken as well. The pins are coming in, but with 15 seconds left, the commit has to go in on the site. Kinose finds the kill and the spike here. It's still gonna be Slime God inside Hookah fighting for dear life. Gojo satcheling in towards the backside as well, but he gets shut down, and now it's all down to Slime God. 3 seconds left, 21 HP, no time to plant it. We'll just try to save the gun, and that will be a 4th round for the defense.
This game is so back and forth from these 2 teams. We definitely picked a banger for this one, as now Slime God up to 10 kills. Gojo also up to 10 kills. Claro with those last 2 rounds trying to tie them up as well. Gonna again be another full buy. We're just getting banger rounds back to back because of how the money situation on these teams keeps landing and how back and forth this game is. So, Kinose gonna look for an early Viper's Pit. If they get caught here, this could be huge, but manages to get it down and get around the wall. Seeker will find her. Or Prowler, sorry, will find them, but will be destroyed. As they trying to find out this Viper. There goes the Haunt though, and there's the Viper's Pit down. Played so aggressively, so forward. The Viper's Pit really was just placed a bit too far forward, made it so that they could push through and find him. And now Showstopper's out, but can't find anything. And Gojo sees him, spots him just outside of the corner. The smoke going huge with 2 big headshots to shut them down as the TP teleport or the rotation coming out through the teleport. Spike will be put down. Back into a 4 versus 3 now. But what an early explosive round coming out from both sides.
For sure, and a quick call to TP as well. You do see them pushing all the way into elbow here. If they can swing off the back of this flash, it's going to be huge, and that's going to be the first kill to come in. But once again, Ju there for the trade. Now a 2v3. You do see flash position towards long, looking to play for the spike, maybe catch position of one of the players. I don't know if they have the information of where the second player is, but a beautiful orbital strike. It's going to push Bleed into the corner here. Flash, though, still able to find the first. A smoke on top of the defuse. Flash with the second, spraying through for dear life. Will find the third to boot, and that will be another attacking round to come through. For a second, it looked like the defense had it in the bag, but Flash gets all 3 players on site to keep them looking and pushing forward in that scoreline. That said, though, like you mentioned, very chaotic round back and forth. I think that both Claro and Gojo have been really good at just doing race things, whether it's getting hyper aggressive or using the utility to good use. I think Claro has gotten like at least 3 or 4 nade kills so far. That said, though, like you mentioned, once again, the economy, it's a little bit dicey here for the defense. You can see that they are going to be able to buy it, but it's half armor across the board and a little bit of compromise on the utility as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, and we've seen them win out these rounds, though. They have played a couple of ecos and made it go their way. But an early pick off onto Claro, gonna try to shut that down. Kinase trying to recover whatever they can, but the gun is so far out. Actually manages to find the kill onto Gojo, so it's an even 4 versus 4 right now. Joe gonna get caught out by Schneider. And Kinase gonna get spotted, gonna get marked by the Hunt as well, trying to get out alive, regroup with their teammates. As the heal comes out as well. Spike will be planted. Snakebite gonna land in the center. Not gonna be able to find much onto the remaining players of UCD. Kinase gonna get hit by the K, by the tether. That's gonna give so much information of where they are sitting. Now as they have multiple members, but Schneider just able to use that rendezvous to get out alive in time. Bleed trying to get the heal onto him, but he's just standing around the corner.
The time, though, it's ticked so far here, and despite the situation, Surge just spot a player, able to get 1 kill, a second to come through as well, but they have to start to defuse immediately. A Molly comes through on top of it. It doesn't matter if the kills come in, they just can't touch the spike, and it seems like they might be able to win off the back of just time itself. Even though they have a couple of players remaining, there was just no way that spike was even gonna get touched, and it will be another round to come through for the attack. I really like how the Brimstone just swung with the Molly to put it down. I am the Slime God, really showing the potential of the slime, or well, in this case, the incendiary from the Brimstone here. Looking at the ultimates, Flash does have the Nightfall available again, but a lot of ults are getting a bit close to fruition for the defense as well. In particular, Claro's Showstopper, he's only 1 kill away from it, but the economy, they're still gonna be able to buy. Like, I feel like in this game at least, the economy hasn't mattered as much with the kind of hero rifles that we're seeing on like 3 or 4 of the players. Bucky tucked away in the corner. They're probably gonna spot it out. They hear the sound, but they still try to push forward to capitalize on it, and it's gonna be the price to be paid by Daverny.
Yeah, and there's a Vandal possibly to be recovered for them, which is great on the round where they didn't have that money, as you said. Gonna upgrade that Bucky to a Vandal for basically nothing. And it's, as you said, this is such a weird game we've had, because both of these teams are just going for these force buys and they're making it work with those lesser weapons. And Surge gonna get spotted out by the Nightfall. They know he's in hookah. As the site is now theirs, 3 players coming in from the south side of that bomb site and only 1 coming in from CT. It's not a super common retake we see. Spike is in the hands of the Brim, but he can't even get off the site. And a great peek from Daverine,
Spike down B,
who recovered that Vandal to be able to win out that round and bring them back to a 7-5.
Yeah, I think that Chamber being that first player to really die made a huge deal of difference there, because with that trademark going down, there was just no flank watch available, and you could see how quick the defenders were to capitalize on it, just going for that wraparound, making their way towards long, and the tie, they were so quick with it that the attackers just weren't expecting it. You could see that they weren't really thinking about that angle. They were just like, okay, do we plant the spike? Do we watch for CT? And it just completely took them by storm. So 5-7 half here, very, very close game, very competitive. Like, was expected to be. That said, though, I think that looking at the scoreboard here, both Gojo and I Am Slime God are playing on top of their game with the side switch coming in and this double controller comp being in play. It's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how exactly this team does use it. For example, are they gonna scale up here with the help of the Viper Wall, use it to lurk around? It seems like it's just a bit of a default to start off with. Ju looking to take that contact with the Headhunter, does spot out Flash here, not able to quite connect the shot, and you can immediately see Flash just choosing to fall back.
Surge and Sniffer gonna spot out. Sniffer gets the advantage early on in this gunfight. Surge just has to run away, knock down to 60 HP. That Ghost's gonna have the advantage in those extended gunfights. And Slime God getting into a little bit of a closer position, just trying to play them off center. That smoke is a bit too deep, or a bit not deep enough. It just it leaves a kind of awkward angle for him to have to hold, where he has to sit further out because it didn't land in as close as he would like it to. So Flash now with the haunt, has it available, gonna line it up, try to get it to stick on top of the building. Will get destroyed. Actually, it didn't get to proc, and now the person with the spike gonna get knocked away as Gojo going aggressive, gonna satchel up on top of Train. And now TP coming out, gonna get 2 members. And look where the Vipers snuck all the way to. They have such an aggressive position, but they've actually told her to turn around. It could have been huge. Kinesei could have caught them off guard as they came through spawn, but he heard more than one set of footsteps. And now the aggression, Gojo gonna jump through it. Right click from Kinesei is enough. Gonna spot out the chamber. Another right click headshot coming out, and Kinesei going so nutty on this fucking Viper.
Yeah, but still, though, it's going to be a 1v3 here. Sarge having to be the one to clutch it all up. The spike already getting defused, but they don't check for him here. He already finds the first. They get off the defuse. He doesn't really have an angle for it. Bleach should just be able to stick it here, and does indeed do so to get themselves to 8. It was a very back and forth round, especially like you mentioned, the heroics of Kinesei with the right clicks to find those kills. But in the end, the numbers, they just weren't in favor. And despite Kinesei finding those 2 kills, you could see players falling on the other side as well. So very difficult pistol, but they still converted in the end. That will get them to 8. Now closer and closer to 9 here. So definitely a strategy, definitely a possibility of them running away with it. Looking at the buy, it's a very mixed bag. A couple of Spectres, one player opting to just stick with the Ghost, and a Marshall on the local Sniffer, and of course the Judge on the race, because what else would you want to have on your race player? Kind of positioned towards this hookah. A crossfire being held here, and the Judge just trying to melt them, but Gojo only gets 1. So it's going to be a Judge that's possibly available for retrieval. You do see that on side. It's going to be time to bleed, looking to take the fights here. The Spectre just finding all of these kills. Surge, with the help of the Frenzy, gets 1, but the Hans catches him out, and that will be Flash to shut him down. 9 rounds on the board now for the defense, and while it was a little bit expensive, they still managed to retrieve all of the expensive guns, in this case being the Judge.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for them, not getting the value of the Judge that they would have liked. But the explosiveness coming out from the side of DU, just making it hard for them to be able to save that. But it doesn't even matter, because they're able to stop the attack coming in, and gonna be able to win out that round now, up to 9 for themselves. And as the full buy comes in for the attackers now, it's gonna be all on this round for them
right here
to try to just try to get in here. But an early kill out from local Sniffer is a huge, and it's onto Claro as well. That's a huge blow coming to them, as they have to try get onto this site now. Without the raise, they don't have that space taking utility available to them. They're not able to just gonna send the double satchels over towards, you know, lamps or over the train. And as you can see, Sniffer getting damage, more damage over onto the chamber as well. The slow pace really favoring that Marshall, and the time as well. We're now seeing the aggression coming out from the other players on the opposite side. We see the Brim pushed up out of Garden, and we see the Sky pushed up into Hookah, just trying to play as much space as they can. Surge now gonna make some noise, try to bait some players to rotate over, and Time to Bleed can catch them here. Gonna miss the first shot, but that's all he needed. He just needs to bait them into thinking they're coming over this way. And Sniffer gonna find a second kill onto Ju. It's huge. 3 players now. Time to Bleed. Gonna get the vulnerable. Tries to jump across, but he has backup and flashes here. Kinesei tries to 180, but it doesn't matter. The defenders were just on top of it. And like I said, this was their round to lose, and it was a absolutely huge round for Sniffer to land those 2 shots with the Marshall.
Yeah, not just that first kill, but also just doing so much chip damage in the process. And once they did manage to get the numbers in their favor, they realized that the rotation was coming in towards B, so they were just able to crunch in from multiple angles. You could see the push with the judge through the teleporter there, along with the hookah player, kind of being baited out. So they were just surrounded on all sides, no real place for them to go. And that was their buy round as well. You do still see them going in for a little bit of a force here. The C's coming in from Flash will buy a little bit of time, let him fall back somewhat, and it seems like the attackers still want to push the issue on this particular site. You don't see the rotations coming in. Schniffer opting to just hold on to the Marshall here. That said, though, it's going to be the backup from the defenders to do a lot of damage. The judge just getting so much chip value. It's a 2v2 now, though. The Viper's pit does come down. Both these players are reasonably low, especially the Viper, just one spray chip away, still able to find these kills. And the last player, they're gonna be in U-Haul Bleed, the only one left, 56 HP. A little bit of sustain coming in on the Viper, thanks to that overgrowth from the sky. And now in this 1v2 with that Viper's pit, it's just gonna be such a difficult retake. Does find the first one, though. The trade is immediate, and they will get that 6th round to bring themselves back into this.
Yeah, they needed that win there. They need to just get their mental back on track. You know, they've looking at the scoreline here, they've only managed to string 2 rounds together. Every other round they've won. It's an instant comeback from UCD to be able to shut them down. And now as we see an op going on to Gojo, the raise of UCD, we're going to see whether they can get what value they can actually get out of this. We've seen Gojo go super aggressive on this raise, so I assume we're just gonna see some early aggression and possibly drop it to someone else, but it's actually gonna be Schniffer who gets an early kill onto Ju, once again opening it up for UCD, and it's just heartbreak for DU. They have to try to come back into this now as Claro trying to gain as much as they can. Gotta get taken down. It is refragged by Kinesei though. And now as the orbital strike stops, the plant Slime God finds another. And DU just slowly bleeding out in this game. 4 versus 2 now.
Enemy remaining.
Schniffer gets another one onto Surge. They know where Davarine is.
One day.
They can only really do economy damage unless they manage to bring this one back now. 1 versus 2. Flash won't spot anything. Gojo knows he's low. But Slime God right there ready and waiting to catch him as he tries to get out. Didn't even get the spike. And it's going to be up to 11 now for UCD, and that trend continues of DU just not being able to string more than 2 rounds together.
Yeah, I think that this is a very oppressive defense that they're running as well, you know, with the Fade and the Raise. There's just so much utility that they're going to have to bait out before they can really try to make that execute happen, because there's otherwise just so much utility available for that retake. The advantage of that double initiator combo. We were talking about how Sky is quite often picked on this map. The Fade is somewhat of a less popular choice, but you can see that UCD are really just making it work. So many of these rounds, even if they're a smoke stand or something, they put down the haunt, they catch a player, as well as the value coming in from the DK. It makes things so difficult. Gojo with the operator does get spotted out, will be forced to fall back, but the Seeker's coming through. It's gonna buy a little bit more time, and through the smoke, okay. Gojo, without even seeing a player, able to get a kill. Time to bleed, fighting for his life inside Huga. Gets a second one as well. Tag down quite low, but still doing the damage, and now only 2 players left. Once again, this is a little bit of an equal round from the attackers here, but they're surrounded on all sides. Gojo spots out Claro's position, finds the kill, and now it's just Ju in a 1v4. Paint shells to push him back. He gets the second, but it's just Gojo with the movement, trying to do some damage. Attempt at a knife to come in, and Flash will succeed. Ju, despite getting 3 kills, just not having enough bullets to finish the job with an ace. That will be match point for UCD here, and what a way to get it too, off the back of a knife.
Yeah, they know. Oh, and the timeout coming out from DU as well. Gonna use their timeouts. We know that these teams, and we've casted, 5 games up until this point. We know these teams have a timeout per half. The teams know this, and yet we very rarely see timeouts used, because especially at this level, at this stage of play, it's only best of ones. I would like to see the teams use a bit more, use the timeouts when they're struggling to try come back into this. They could have used the timeout a couple rounds ago to actually get them a little bit more value out of it, but coming out now anyway. I have heard from a couple of the players in the past that they usually use the timeouts more if somebody has to step away for a second more than for strategy purposes. So hopefully this year we get like as we get into playoffs, we do see the timeouts used a bit more strategically. None of these teams have a coach from what I can tell. No, I believe that they can have a coach. I don't know. I'm not exactly
They're just not in the lobby now.
100% sure. Yeah. So I just got confirmation from the production. Yeah, we haven't got full confirmation, but they are allowed to have a coach. I believe they can bring a coach in, I think, at any time. I'm not entirely sure on that. I'd have to double check with, Incipients, but I hope we see some coaches coming out on these college teams as well, because we're developing a lot of collegiate talent, but no coaches. So I'd like to see a couple of coaches pop up. A couple, maybe high-ranking players, immortals or so, that didn't have another team, potentially just acting as a coach, helping the teams out in these matches where they are struggling. But Orbital Strike coming out over towards Hookah. Gonna be able to take one down on Ju, but Sniffer back right away onto Claro. Now back to a 4 versus 4. A lot of ultimates being invested. They have to do everything they can to win out this round. And Nightfall coming down from the Fade as well. Prowlers coming out. They're just going for a quick retake here with this defense. But Davarini gonna get one. And now playing it slow. Timer's ticking down. They have the Tour de Force.
Oh my god.
Another kill from Sniffer through the box. Flash gonna come out for Davarini. They know the position of him now. Trades coming out from Ju and Time to Bleed. On the opposite side of the site, though, it's now basically two separated 1v1s from this angle. Time to Bleed trying to spot out the person in showers, but they're playing so passively. Ju gonna get spotted out by his shoulder, and now Davarini in a 1 versus 2 has to go for the swing. Gonna be pushed off the corner. Gets one, gets a second, and keeps his team alive in this match.
Oh, I like how Time to Bleed went for the Sheriff, just hoping to buy enough time for the defuse to come in, but despite having bullets, that's what I noted there. A little bit of a mistake, I would say, especially considering that there was like no time for the teammate to get up spike and possibly go in for some help either to take that 2v1. So minor mistakes being made, but like you mentioned, still gonna be match points for the side of UCD here. That said though, I think that was a bit of a heavy investment in that previous round. There was an operator as well as that Tour de Force, and now we're gonna be seeing the economy getting chipped away at. You do see them getting aggressive early on to get control of that orb, getting closer and closer to that orbital strike. Boomba getting broken as well to deny that early information here. And while the attackers, they take control of Hookah, they're just going to cut that noise until long control gets taken. And in the meantime, there's a lurk as well for this time. Kinose just using that Viper wall to scale up on this A side, keep the rotations from really coming in and maybe find a pick. But it's still going to be with Vayne chose to force Slime out of that corner. You do see Gojo looking to take the fight, doing a lot of chip damage in the process and just being able to anchor and hold on to the site.
Yeah, change of pace coming out from them. They made noise over towards that A site. Now hitting the TP, sending... Look at the rotations. They've completely broken their ankles. 2 players heading towards that B site. But the TP was all they needed. That Viper wall came for giving them free access into it. And now they've just sent them the wrong way. And they've been a bit slow on the uptake on this attack side, but the spike is still over towards B. They're still just playing for picks. Flash gonna get caught out with the judge.
No.
That's not where you want to see. That's not where you want to be. But they got a refrag over towards that B site, and now the rotation's coming out once again from the members of UCD, trying to get whatever they can. The TP is coming out now as Gojo gets caught. 3 versus 3. Spike will be planted. Slime God trying to regain any pressure they can. Kinsey and Surge gonna push up towards Elbow, just trying to keep them from gaining this space. And Sniffer gonna spot out. Oh, he didn't spot out Davarini. Kinsey now gonna spot out Slime God. Bullets are gonna start flying. Kinsey gonna get one, or sorry, Davarini and Sniffer get one each. Back to a 2 versus 2. Kinsey finds Slime God though, and now Flash has to go big, but it doesn't matter. Kinese doing exactly what they did in the previous round, keeping them alive in the 3v3 retake, and 12-8 now, finally starting to string some rounds together, but as I said, haven't been able to string more than 2. So this is the round that matters for them. They have to try to keep themselves alive.
Will they break the curse or not to keep themselves in this? They have a pretty good chance at it, considering that it's a bit of an equal round to come through for the defenders here. But especially seeing that Marshall and local Stiffer's hand, I wouldn't underestimate the side at all, because that's exactly what happened in that bonus round. That Marshall was shredding them apart and doing so much damage here. This time around, Schniffer going to be positioned towards Showers, already able to get that fight, but this time around, it's going to be Ju to really showcase that chamber diff here. Gojo still looking to hold on with the Bulldog, not going to be able to do too much damage, but will be able to get away with his life at the very least. That said, though, it will be the scaling up towards this site, and oh my god, the Bucky right in the face flash once again, striking with the shotguns. However, he's going to be surrounded on all sides. Orbital Strike to come in as well for some additional chaos, and finally, it will be Flash to get shut down. Still a 3v3 at the end of it. Ju able to find another kill, though, going huge here. Gojo striking back. 2v2 situation. The spike itself was planted. The paint shells come through here, possibly doing a little bit of chip damage. It's going to be a player tucked away in the corner. So much wallbang damage to be taken here. Both the players looking somewhat low. And Gojo, despite the HP, still able to find another kill. Only the chamber left. So little HP left to work with. This could be the end despite the eco possibility. And Gojo just looking to do the chip damage. He's just sticking the spike. The chamber has to peek, but Ju not going to do so. And that's how this ends. 13-8. They get it done. Finally, UCD, they confirmed that victory. But my god, these last couple of rounds, it came down to the wire. And at the end of it, you were right. They couldn't break the curse. It was 2 rounds and done.
Yep, and Gojo actually in that loss, or I'm trying to bring up this here. Sorry, yeah, Kinase coming up second on that scoreboard, 19-15, 22 coming out for Gojo. It was great showing from both of these teams. That game was actually quite close, even though the score didn't completely show it in the end. I do think that if we were to run that one back, those teams potentially get a very similar scoreline. I'm just double checking the scores. I don't think these teams have seen each other before. UCD, yeah, they haven't. So that was the first time those have played against each other, and I don't think it will be the last. They definitely seem like they are pretty even in the standings anyway. And I'm trying to see here, and that also kind of tells us a little bit more about UCD. We said going into it that UCD, we weren't really sure on them because they had 2 victories by default, just by no-shows, and we weren't sure whether that means they could really hang with these teams that are also on 3-2, and now up to that 4-2 position for them. They're now in the running, or they're now putting themselves ahead in the running for playoffs as we get into these final 2 weeks, and we're now getting to the position where teams can start getting locked in for playoffs if they can go on a run, and even and for the teams that are a bit lower in the pack, the teams that are 3-3, 2-4, if they want any chance of coming back, they need to go on a streak of 4 wins coming into this next 2 weeks. So there's a lot to play for. I did see a question being posed in the Discord a few minutes ago whether TUD won their second game against QUB Storm, so they 2-0'd them this week. And I do see that question popped up if TUD have been locked in yet. We're not entirely sure. I don't have all the information, but I would say 6-0, they are very close to being locked in. I want to say maybe 7 is the cutoff for them being locked, especially if they're 7-0. But that's pretty much it for us this evening. I know our producer needs to go very shortly, so I'm not going to hold everyone here too long. As well as you, Zach, after flying in. Thank you so much for being here, because
that was my pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm just glad I could make it.
Yeah, making it very last minute. But yeah, I've been Heltic, joined by Zach, and Zenalot is our producer for this evening. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys next week.